Coming up, a new King Air from Textron and behind the scenes of the world's largest toy airplane factory.
Plus, a lower-cost trainer and an epic seaplane flight over the Tennessee River. AOPA Live this week starts in just a moment.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Alyssa Cobb.
The National Business Aviation Association may not be able to have an in-person event this year, but that's not stopping them from gathering the BizAv community together. For 2020, it's all online.
That's right. The NBAA Virtual Business Aviation Convention and Exposition, or VBASE, happening this week. Just like they would at an in-person event, makers are rolling out the latest and greatest from their product lines. At Textron, the introduction of the Beechcraft King Air 260 is the latest model in the 200 series line. King Air 260s will come with 3 major cockpit changes as standard equipment. One is the addition of auto throttle. This lets pilots fly the takeoff, climb, cruise, descent, and landing phases of flight with precise airspeeds and without manual input. A digital pressurization controller is another improvement over earlier King Airs. The new turboprop gets an enhanced weather radar and better cabin seats as well. Delivery is expected next year.
Well, despite a major downturn in the early part of the coronavirus pandemic, things are looking up for business jet operators. In a press conference, market intelligence experts at JetNet IQ reviewed its poll of 20,000 business aircraft owners to come up with purchasing projections for the next decade. And it looks good. In March, optimism was down 43%, but in the fourth quarter of this year, the mood started in positive territory with a plus 18.4% boost. After the announcement of a vaccine, it surged to plus 28.1% territory. As for a return to pre-COVID-19 flight activity in the next 12 months, well, nearly 40% of North American respondents strongly agreed that flying will recover. Most people thought virtual meetings are overall a good thing, but purchasing and deliveries are still looking up. Small jets and charter operators are the brightest spot. Now, business aviation, like all segments of the aviation industry, has been impacted by the coronavirus pandemic, but the industry has been resilient and metrics are already improving. That, according to Honeywell Aerospace. Their annual forecast is always the kickoff to NBAA's annual event. The company notes that business aviation is down less than air transport and that all segments are on an upward trend. Personal flying is improving quicker than business flying, and while deliveries of new aircraft are down, new technology like supersonic business jets in development lead the outlook to be optimistic for the rest of the decade.
And one of the AOPA You Can Fly champions is making a big splash at the virtual event. Dirks Bentley rocking out a performance for the virtual crowd. Dirks is an avid pilot. He sat down with NBA boss Ed Boland to talk about his love of flight. And he also told the story of being the last airplane into John C. Toon Airport before the massive tornado hit back in March. His airplane had to go around the storm that would minutes later hit the airport.
Remember when we came around it, it's like flying through like alligator teeth. There was like a jagged layer above us that was blowing this way and a jagged layer underneath us. It swung in, landed at Toon, and told the guys to put in the hangar because there's obviously some weather moving in. And an hour and a half later, that hangar was gone and the whole airport was gone. I mean, it was a direct hit on John Toon, complete destruction. Tried to go back out there the next day, couldn't. There was a gas leak and the airport was closed down. When I did get out there, I couldn't even find the jet. It was underneath so much metal in that hangar. We couldn't even, we were circling around, walking through, jet fuel, trying to get a glimpse inside the hangar, and couldn't find it. My SeaRey, I found that.
Yep.
It had 2 planes that lost in the tornado. One that I own, the SeaRey. It had been thrown about 300 yards.
You can hear more from Dirks and his fellow You Can Fly champion Michael Guillow in a Pilot Lounge episode on our YouTube channel.
And AOPA's 2021 You Can Fly scholarships are now open for applications, totaling more than $1 million. So listen up. We have several types of scholarships available for you this year. We have them for high school students and teachers, AOPA members seeking a private pilot certificate, and those working toward advanced ratings. AOPA has awarded more than $2.5 million in scholarships over the years, all made possible through generous donations to the AOPA Foundation. And they really do make a difference in people's lives.
The interesting thing about the feedback I get from our scholarship program is that without the means of our scholarships, they wouldn't have the means to fly. And knowing that means everything to me because I know that between the donors, myself, and committee, we are that intricate part in getting them to accomplishing their goals. They are extremely grateful to receive our scholarships.
Applications are due by February 14th. You can find out more and apply on our website. Well, here's another scholarship for you. The Leroy W. Homer Jr. Foundation is accepting flight training scholarship applications. Leroy was the first officer on United Airlines Flight 93 on September 11, 2001. Leroy dreamed of flying as a child, and the goal of the scholarship carrying his name is to support and encourage aspiring young aviators. The application deadline is January 31st. You can find out more on the Leroy Homer Jr. Foundation website.
Christmas, it's almost here, and with it comes family, gifts, food, cheer, and warbirds? Well, the Commemorative Air Force's annual 12 Planes of Christmas program gives you an opportunity to help keep them flying. The CAF has a fleet of over 170 aircraft, but they pick just 12 of the most significant each year and make them the focus of a giving campaign. Among them, an F-8F Bearcat, the B-17 Texas Raiders, and a PBY Catalina, and more. You can learn more at supportcaf.org. And if you're looking for a warbird model, you can get one from the Paul K. Guillow Company. They make the simple balsa wood rubber band powered gliders you probably played with as a kid, along with detailed models of all kinds of other airplanes. AOPA Senior Features Editor Julie Walker takes us to the Guillow factory to learn more about the company.
For nearly 95 years, the Guillow Model Airplane Company has helped make imagination soar. It was all started by Paul K. Guillow in 1926.
He was a naval aviator, and back in 1926 he started making board games of Lucky Lindy, and from there he started to make balsa wood gliders put together with rubber bands, and he started selling them out of the trunk of his car, driving around New England, getting it to places like J.C. Penney and Woolworths and so forth until the business started to grow.
The company has grown to be one of the largest toy airplane manufacturers and, in fact, manufacturing more than 6 million toy aircraft makes it the largest aircraft manufacturer in the world. The company makes the famous rubber band powered gliders and authentic scale model airplane kits.
Something like a P-51 Mustang they would make. It has a 24-inch wingspan. There's probably a couple hundred parts that go into it, and it might make you busy for about 40 hours or so building it.
The toy airplanes are made from super light balsa wood.
Balsa wood comes out of countries that are located along the equator. The largest producer of balsa wood is Ecuador. It makes very good, nice white wood for our products.
Tom Barker is the current president of Paul K. Guillow, and he's been with the company since he graduated from high school.
I started back in 1975. I was in the drafting program at Wakefield High School. There was an advertisement on the board for Guillow's that wanted to have a draftsman come in and start designing and drawing model airplane kits. I started then, and I never left.
And that's a common story here. Many of the employees have worked at the factory in Wakefield, Massachusetts for decades.
My favorite part of this job is working with the people around us. I have great employees here. We have under 50 employees. They've been here for a long time, and they're like family. We work together very well.
And together they continue to bring Paul K. Guillow's dream to life, delivering the joy of flight to children of all ages all around the world. Julie Walker, AOPA Live.
Going to read more about Guillow's model airplanes in the upcoming January issue of AOPA Pilot Magazine. So Alyssa, did you play with these as a kid?
You know, I did not, but I was talking to my husband about it, and he loved playing with them as a kid. In fact, the shot that you have there, with the Spirit of St. Louis box, we have the exact one here at the house that he's getting ready to start building.
Well, I put this one together. Julie brought a whole bunch back for us, so people around the building have been playing with them off and on for the last couple of weeks. Anyhow, it's great fun and actually flies pretty well.
Good job assembling.
Thank you.
Well, coming up after the break, hear the story about a fuel emergency over the Atlantic.
And splashing around the Tennessee River Gorge. We'll be back in a minute.
I remember developing A20 and thinking, is this as good as it can be? Can I make it better? You can't have the mindset that it's impossible to make it better. If you're already at that mindset, you might as well go home.
Welcome back. The barrier to entry into one of the newest airplanes in the light sport trainer market just got a bit easier to handle. Texas Aircraft is introducing a more affordable version of its Colt LSA. The company says it's in response to flight schools seeking ways to cut costs because of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. The schools asked for the aircraft to come without some of the advanced IFR features that come on the airplane. For just under $140,000, you can order the Colt with a single 10.6-inch Garmin G3X touchscreen display. The lower cost option also finds ways to add value, like having left side only toe brakes and taking the leather seats to synthetic. It still comes complete with a Garmin radio and ADS-B. Now compare that to the Colt as originally equipped for IFR at $183,000. Find more information on the Texas Aircraft website.
AOPA and iFlight Planner are offering several updates to the desktop flight planner. One of the top new features is the expansion of the Bring Your Own EFB program. iFlight Planner will now wirelessly sync with iFly GPS for core and premium members. You can also now print out your nav log in kneeboard format, and there's more intuitive color coding for AirMets and SIGMETs on the interactive maps. To learn more, check out a webinar we posted earlier this week on our AOPA Live YouTube channel.
And the AOPA Air Safety Institute just released a new real pilot story called Pressure Over the Atlantic. The story details ferry pilot Carrie McCauley's trying transatlantic flight in a new F-33 Bonanza. Far over the ocean, Carrie discovered an issue with his auxiliary fuel tank. The problem? No ram air. The fuel wasn't moving. The solution? Pressurize the tank via lung power. For 8 straight hours, Carrie was alone over the ocean in a single-engine airplane with only his will keeping him alive.
I was presented with a problem that didn't really seem to have a solution. And I easily could have rolled over and died. You know, if I'd have just said, oh my God, my ferry system isn't working, I'm going in the water. I easily could have done that. But you always have to keep swinging. Even if there's no hope, keep trying. You might get lucky.
You can find the full video on the Air Safety Institute website.
And finally this week, we'll leave you with a beautiful flight over the Tennessee River Gorge in a SeaRey amphibian from AOPA Live viewer Tom Snow. Thanks, Tom, for sending us that video. Always fun to hear from you. Well, that's it for our show this week. Thanks for watching.
And make sure to like, comment, or subscribe on YouTube, or send your thoughts to the email address there on your screen. We'll see you back here next week.
Purchasing your own aircraft is an exciting experience. AOPA Finance simplifies the process, saving you money with lower interest rates and hassle-free loans, so you get into your new aircraft sooner. AOPA Finance, the right approach to buying an aircraft.